but just mindful of time, we are running over time. Were there any additional...
in light of what you've just said, Chair, no, I think this is an issue that we are going to have to return to today, because I'm not especially comfortable by the exchange that I've just listened to, and I think other members may not be as well, but we need to come back later.
Assembly Member Shaw.
Very briefly, Chair. Going forward, Deputy Mayor, TfL awarded a contract in December last year, which was about installing a new automatic speed control system. Do you know how it's progressing and is due to be fully up and running by the end of this year? Do you have that information? If not, now can you let the committee have that very vital information, please?
That's correct. The contract has been let, and the most recent reports I've had from TfL officers suggest to me that this will be fully implemented by the end of this year.
Thank you.
Assembly Member Bailey.
Just want to return to this concept of early access by one of the executives' report. How worried are you about what that says about the culture? I don't understand how somebody could see a report before. Why weren't they separated from the audit situation? That's distressing to me.
I missed the very first part of your question.
So I want to return to this concept around early access to the report. So Leon Daniels had early access to the report. Why? I just simply want to know why. Why did he have early access to it?
So I think what you're referring to there is the comments that Michael
Yeah.
says that Leon Daniels made in June. Is that correct? So
Yes.
he would have been the Director of Surface Transport. I would expect the Director of Surface Transport, who is now Gareth Powell, to be, fully briefed as work is being done on, the progress of the field work for an internal audit, bearing in mind the sort of separation of responsibilities that have been quite rightly set out here. I've met Leon Daniels in my previous career. He has not been an officer of TfL during the period that I have been the Deputy Mayor. And so any questions that you have about why or what he saw back in 2017, I'm afraid you would have to put it to him or somebody else that was in the organisation at the time.
I don't want to make this about Leon Daniels. It's nothing to do with Leon Daniels. But it seems to me that the audit process, just to labour the point, was not separated. And that gives a conflict of interest. And I find that worrying for cultural purposes.
I think we covered that bit already, Sean.
Yeah, no, but for me, we haven't. If we're talking about how well it's gone, and I accept your point, it does sound like lots of progress has been made. I just want to focus on this cultural piece, because the progress is made almost in peacetime. What happens when something goes wrong? Do we how can we guarantee we don't go back to where we were? Because this early access suggests a breakdown in the process at the very least.
I'm quite happy to ask the Commissioner to write to you about the specific questions that you are raising here. As I say, I don't read into it the conspiracy that you do, but given that I wasn't part of the organisation at that point in time, I think it would make sense for me to speak to someone who was operationally responsible for TfL, and we will come back to you and the other members.
Just to be clear, I don't read any conspiracy into it. I just want to understand how the two things, what two things I believe should be separate work.
Thank you, Sean. Assembly Member Prince, Assembly Member McCartney.
Very quickly, I just want to say, Deputy Mayor, that I think you're missing the point about the independent investigation. It's not just about why wasn't it sent to the RAAB. That really isn't the issue. I mean, that's wrong. We need to know why that didn't happen. It's more about, who had access to the field work, who saw it at pre-draft level, who changed the draft report, who removed some significant recommendations from the draft report to the final report. It's really about how the whole thing was handled and why all these changes and things were made. So, we're not arguing about the fact that the outcome may or may not have changed what the RAAB finally recommended, which actually hasn't been made yet. It's just about the whole process. There seems to be lots of flaws, lots of people involved who maybe shouldn't be involved, conflicts of interest. So it's the whole thing we want to look at, because in fairness, you know, the Mayor has said he wants to be the most transparent Mayor that we've ever had. This needs some transparency.
With the greatest respect, Assembly Member Prince, I've answered these questions in this session. If you want to point to me any of the bullet points in the executive summary of version 1 of the fatigue audit that then don't appear in the final version, then I'm happy to have that conversation now, because I've got those reports in front of me and I've been through them line by line myself.
Well, I can tell you, but I don't want to extend this, Chair, because I really appreciate it. The audit conclusion requires improvement was removed entirely. One example, I've given you one. And
So if
you know,
you
if
look
you're
at
not
that,
aware
if
of
you
that,
look at that first report, we've already had this discussion. We've already talked about this issue, and I can, you know, repeat what I said to you earlier about that, but I'm not sure that's the best use of time of this committee. What I do know is that those issues that were flagged as priority 1 and 2 issues, which contained about 8 bullet points in the executive summary of version 1 of the fatigue audit, if you look at the final version, which was then produced, those bullet points dealing with things such as, you know, roster design, there's a whole range of different issues there, looking at what the ORR best guidance is. You know, I've actually cross-checked it myself, because I wanted to assure myself that there wasn't, that these recommendations and the findings weren't being substantively changed. And having gone through them myself, I feel confident that the process that went on is not one which requires an independent investigation. So whether it's the sharing of the fatigue report, or any other aspect of those deliberations, I've set out today why I don't believe an independent investigation is necessary.
well, I don't want to prolong the agony, I really don't.
Thank you.
Just
We'll
one comment,
leave
and
it
that
there.
is, no one's blaming you, Deputy Mayor, you weren't there at the time. You may feel that you're convinced. I'm very sad to tell you that there are many people in this room who remain absolutely unconvinced that this has been dealt with in the right way, and we would still like an independent inquiry. Thank you.